Hey, and welcome to another video. So as you can see from the title, today I'm going to be talking about the Berkshire Hathaway 2020 annual meeting that was hosted again, as it ever has been, by Warren Buffett. And it was just released yesterday on Yahoo Finance, and it has some very interesting things. Now, why would someone want to watch 6 hours of Warren Buffett talking? For the first part of that, Warren Buffett. He can do it at 89 years old. You can do it at not 89 years old. You can watch, these annual shareholder meeting videos. The man sat on a stage for between 5 and 6 hours and answered questions and gave his thoughts on the economy. You can definitely, watch the highlights or skip around in different parts of that annual meeting on your own to find out what's important, or to listen to only the Q&A or only him talk. But why is it important to watch that video, or why is it important to watch like a Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting video? Again, annual meeting only comes out once a year where this kind of video happens, and they've happened throughout all the years, and most of those years aren't recorded on video because they didn't have video cameras, or they weren't set up to do that back in like the 70s, and I think that they did start some recordings in the 80s. But either way, why is it important? You don't have to be a fan of Warren Buffett. You don't have to like what he does. You don't really even have to know who he is. It is important to watch these annual meeting videos for the company that is the holding company that is Berkshire Hathaway, because it really tells what the economy in the US is really doing. How do consumers really react? How should someone that is so tied in to the minuscule little facts of companies, publicly traded companies, and even some private companies that release their numbers to him, he is so fixated on, and he only invests in the best. It tells you a lot, because Berkshire Hathaway owns hundreds of companies, or even pieces of companies, like publicly traded pieces of companies. If his companies are not doing well, Berkshire Hathaway employs about, I think they said yesterday, about 500,000 people, 500,000 people across all their businesses that they own outright, or pretty much that they own outright, because you wouldn't care about, like, Berkshire Hathaway owns like 10% of Apple, not 10%, but they own like a large percentage of overall of Apple, and you wouldn't include them because that's not their employees. But the whole Berkshire Hathaway, they own Dairy Queen, Geico, Oriental Trading Company, furniture stores, jewelry stores. They own all these different kinds of things. They employ about 500,000 people. So if Berkshire Hathaway is feeling any kind of pressure, then they have their hands in so many different honeypots that it's hard to ignore and it's hard to miss. If they're having any kind of problems, you should be afraid, because they are like Berkshire Hathaway is like the U.S. economy. It's like a mini version, if you were to track the U.S. economy, again, between like all these different kinds of consumer things and products and whatnot. It would be a very good indicator of how things are going. If Berkshire Hathaway is employing people during hard times or recessions, then the economy probably isn't doing that great, but Berkshire Hathaway is. So it just goes to show, like, what they're struggling with is probably what the actual U.S. economy is struggling with too. And Berkshire Hathaway isn't struggling, so to say, because they have like $150 billion that they're just sitting on in their bank account in straight up cash money. But even still, they have an operating loss I believe it came out that they had an operating loss of about $50 billion. Again, comment on this video if you know or if you watched any of the actual footage from yesterday. I'm catching up on most of it right now. I did watch bits and pieces, and I saw some highlights that people were tweeting out from yesterday's live meeting. But either way, comment to let me know if I'm saying anything incorrect. But again, an operating loss of about $50 billion, which I don't think that's ever happened. Or at least it's not happened in a long, long, long time. That means that, you know, like I said, like the Geicos, they're struggling. Like the Dairy Queens, they're struggling. Like all these little businesses that Berkshire Hathaway owns that are very well diversified, very well spread out, very different from each other. If they're struggling, then you could probably tell that the U.S. economy is struggling. The average U.S. consumer is definitely probably struggling. Is definitely struggling. And you can just kind of tell how Warren Buffett's attitude is. Definitely sets a tone for how how business leaders and other CEOs must feel. If this 89-year-old man who's lived through a lot, if that's his feeling, then it's got to be pretty bad for other people too, whether they come out and say it or not. So anyway, let me know what your favorite part of the meeting was, if you did see it, but that's why his videos are so important. And then go back and watch any of the older shareholder meetings. I know if you go to cnbc.com and they have a whole actual tab for Warren Buffett, a whole archive will come up, and you can watch any of those videos that are available on video going back to like even the 90s at least. So enjoy this video and see you soon.